Good morning, everyone. It is 9:15 a.m. Central Time. And so you obviously know where you should be, right here at the Sunday morning Science of Mind class at CSLDallas. My name is Tracy Brown, and I get to hang out with you this morning as we explore more of what is written in The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And so as we begin this morning, I simply invite you to take a deep centering breath, releasing on the exhale anything that could cloud your mind or distract you, and simply repeat after me. Now is the time. This is my opportunity to dive into truth. Let's do this. Yes. And so it is. So every week we go a little bit deeper, another page or two or five into what Ernest Holmes wrote in our primary guidebook here at CSLDallas, The Science of Mind. And what we know is the science of mind is a faith, it is a philosophy, and it is a way of life. And we're going to begin today on the top of page 396. This is in the section called the General Summary, that is chapter 24. Now, if you're new to us or relatively new to us, we have gone 395 pages, a few pages at a time. It takes a little bit of time. And we have another couple hundred pages to go. Well, maybe not. We have another 100 pages to go. And then we'll go back and start all over again. So anytime you have questions about what's going on or what is happening or what is written in the Science of Mind, you can go back to our recorded videos from 4 years or 5 years and just say, I want to learn something new today, and pick one and then follow along in the textbook or not. So on page 396, I'm going to read a little bit, and then as I read and explain or comment about what Ernest Holmes has written, I invite you to think about, what does this mean to me? How has this shown up in my life? What questions do I have? So as you're listening, if you go like, oh yeah, I know that, remember that, so you can share it with those in the room and those online. If you have a question, like something just doesn't compute and you feel your head go on tilt, like, remember that and we'll talk about it. So top of page 396 in the general summary. Because thought is made of the stuff that forms the universe into definite creation, the law is charged with the power that we give it, no more, no less. It responds by correspondence. It is a mirror and a perfect one. It molds our ideas and beliefs into visible form and casts them back multiplied. It does not know it is doing this, but it knows how to do it. This is one of the great enigmas of the universe. The nature of reality is such that universal mind has unlimited power, but so far as man is concerned, it has only the power which humanity gives to it. A man or a person gives it power when one says, I am weak, sick, unhappy. It says what one first says for himself. And since for countless ages, humanity has believed that which is not true of God, The body and environment reflect this limited concept of the universe. This law is a force in nature to be used and brought under conscious control of the spirit of humanity, which is one's conscious mind. Our conscious mind is the consciousness of God within us. Mind, as law, is helpless without direction. It has nowhere to go and nothing to do of itself. It must be directed or it will do nothing of permanent worth for us. Mind as law is an abstraction, merely a possibility. Each human is a concrete knower. The consciousness of spirit individualized. The personality of God multiplied through humanity as self-knowingness, and this makes each one distinct and different from all other creations so far as mentality is concerned. Mind as law is unconscious intelligence and lives only through the human. It is mine to command my servant. It has no desire of its own. My desire is its desire, its will, and its purpose. So obviously, this page 396 is reteaching what was in some earlier chapters about subjective mind or the law. And that it is important for each one of us to guide subjective law, to give it a direction, because its job is to simply follow our lead and deliver from the infinite resources in the universe that which will manifest what we say we want. And it's not just what we want physically, like, oh, I want $1 million. The universe has way more than $1 million. It could deliver that. But it is the cumulative impact of what I mentally choose, what I emotionally choose or commit to, what I physically do, and that says, yes, I really mean that, or yeah, I don't really believe I can have that. You know, there's no way I'm gonna have $1 million, but I want it. And the universe will say, keep wanting it. I can give you wanting it. I want it, I want it. The universe says yes. So everything on 396 is just building or reinforcing how it works, how subjective mind or how the law is neutral. It is simply responsive to who we say we want to be, how we say we want to be, and what we say we want. Beginning the last paragraph, the last sentence on 396. While mind as law is always subjective to one's desire, we must not forget that it has infinite intelligence within itself. It is mind in the abstract and in the unformed. It is mind in an unthought state, so to speak. It takes concrete form from desires and mental images impressed upon it. It resides within us for the purpose of being used, and it should be used definitely and with conscious knowledge that it is being used for specified purposes. It will do for us whatever we wish it to do, provided we first create the thought mold. Ever make Jell-O? Ever have the mold you put it in and then it's liquid when you pour it in and then it firms up to that shape? This. That's what's happening. It's liquid. It can go anywhere. It can take any shape or form. But what is the mold is the thought and the belief and the action that we take that forms the mold that the mind or law is conforming to. So yeah, I'm going to stop there because I think it's in some ways, a really easy principle to understand, but it can get really confusing when then we try to apply it in our lives. So often we, say, I didn't get exactly what I wanted, and I have been thinking about it. I may even have been praying about it. I've been sure it's going to happen for me, but it doesn't. So I'm not so sure about whether the mind really follows my thoughts and the universe is always saying yes. But often, if we unpack that a little bit, we see that while we are claiming one thing, we are either behaving in opposition to it, or we're reacting to conditions in a way that implies, I don't really believe this stuff, or I don't really believe I can have it, or we are actively saying things. We're telling ourselves life is horrible, or, this is really good stuff that I'm reading in class, but, I don't know, I don't think it works for me. Or why would this happen? It's been 10 years. It's been 10 years and nothing's changed. So we often are the barrier that blocks the universe actually delivering what it is that we say we want, because we're doing things that we don't want or that reflect what we don't want. The other thing that comes up a lot is I want something, or I say I want something. Let's say I want $1 million. But what I find myself doing is looking at people who have a million or multi-millions of dollars, and I resent them. I criticize them. Oh, they didn't get their money honestly. Nobody could be that rich, right? Or they probably cheated some people. Well, don't say that's what you want, but then the way they are, the people are ways that you don't want to be or that you don't value. It's sending a mixed message. And the third thing that we have to think about is the subjective mind or the law is actually delivering on what I want and what every one of you wants too. So sometimes what I want is in opposition to what someone else wants, like in my family or with the people I engage with. And the universe has got to work all that out, or I have to work it out and be so clear that my vibration, my energy, my claim on the universe cannot be denied, assuming that my claim on the universe is not designed to harm anyone. We can have anything and everything we want as long as it does not harm others. So we're gonna hear what you either affirmed or you resonated with or you had questions about. And Ryan is going to tell you how you can participate in this and make it a conversation instead of a presentation.
Yes. Presentation is not what we're going for here. This is all about engagement, everybody, and hello to everybody in the room. Hi, hello. Yes, your hands are all working. So that means you know how to ask a question or comment. And I have the iconic Richard over here with me, and he's going to help us for the folks that are here in the room. We have these microphones, and we'll bring them to you so that the folks online can hear what you have to say and participate in it as well. To everybody here in the Zoom room, go ahead and raise your hand and say hello. Love to see you. And I see that we have some people overseas, so thanks for staying awake with us today. And for those who are here watching us on Facebook Live, make sure to check in and tell us where you're watching us from. I see places like Wisconsin. So hello, Wisconsin. And some folks from just right around the corner. They just like to watch us on Facebook from their comfort of their home. I don't blame you. It's early in the morning, but we got a lot of good stuff to say. So for the folks who are here in the Zoom room, just raise your hand with a question or a comment. It looks like I have one. And for those who are watching us on Facebook, make sure to leave your questions in the comments below, and I'll bring them into the room as well. So we're talking about causal creation in combination with other causal creations, and whose energy will win it all. It's so weird to think about it in that way, but it's not really that way, right?
Causal creation. All right. So next week, we're going to have Ryan be right here on the stool, and I'm going to sit in the chair and run the technology, because
that would be awesome.
Causal creation, like, bring it, right? So yes, we are talking about how we use our energy and our thoughts to create first cause, to create the direction in which the universe must respond by claiming what we want and who we want to be in the world. And we have a raised hand in the room.
All right, so let's go first to you, and then we'll come to the Connie, who's online and wants to share as well.
Don't forget to say your name so the people in the room can know you and people online can know who they are listening to.
Hi, this is JL Summers. So overhearing the whole passage that was just read, it really helped me understand the fact that we have so much control of what our destiny looks like. And I think in other organizations and religions, they kind of confined you into this mode of what you should want, what you shouldn't want. But it's powerful and it's empowering to know that we ourselves control that. And what I also got from what you read was the law is working regardless if we know of it or not. So the power to be able to consciously do things with the law is a beautiful consciousness to have.
Beautiful. Thanks, JL. And I love that second point so much. I don't think we can ever overemphasize it. The law is always working, always. And when we're not conscious and aware of it, it is delivering on whatever it is we're thinking about, our dominant thought or our frequency, our most frequent pattern. And so that we keep getting the same results because we are thinking the same thing, whether what we're thinking is, I'm an idiot and I don't know how to do anything right, or whether we're thinking, I'm creative, I have all kinds of ideas, I can hardly wait to see what comes out of this seed that I just planted. Either way, the universe is saying, yes, okay, how do I give Tracy more experiences or put her in situations or allow her to be around people where they are going to remind her that her belief that she is an idiot and can't do anything right will be affirmed. Now that's really hard because you're like, but I didn't know any better. And that's, but once you do know better, the phrase that JL used, consciously use it, consciously get in alignment with it.
All right, so I'm going to impose my causal creation and allow Connie to enter the room. Connie, do you want to go ahead and share?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Good morning, Connie.
Good morning, Dr. Tracy. Good to see you and hear you. And good morning to everybody. Whew, this is every time, it's just beautiful. So, the subjective mind or the law delivers what we want if we don't interrupt it. And so I'm wondering, and then you said that happens for other people too. Is there a connection between what the subjective mind delivers to me and what the subjective mind delivers to other people? I got some kind of impression, but it may not be correct, that somehow they're intertwined. That makes it very complex. But anyway, that's my question.
I love that question and that observation. So think about it. One of our primary principles is the principle of oneness, right? And that each one of us there is a unity between each one of us and that which created us. And because we've all been created by the same source, there is this oneness, the one body of all life. So think about the times that you may have heard the phrase race consciousness or collective consciousness or cultural consciousness. That is the universe responding to, or us creating together, a desire, an expectation, a request of what needs to be manifested. Do you remember a few years ago when there was a lot of reporting on groups of people meditating all at the same time for the same thing? Right. One of those experiments that was tracked was people were meditating for peace and to replace violence. And the violence, the rate of murders in the cities that they were directing their attention to in meditation actually went down. So if the universe is responding to me, I know the universe is responding to you and you and you. And if we are all putting the same thing, the same thought, the same intention into the universe, that's when we see things escalate. At CSLDallas, right? Our community, both the community that shows up in person and our virtual community together, we see things happen here. We have an intention. We had an intention during the days of the pandemic when we were not able to meet in person, to stay as community, to be connected, to feel connected, to financially support this organization so that everything, all the resources would still be available for us to provide programming. That wasn't something that just Dr. Petra and Reverend Karen sat in their home and said, oh, let's set an intention for good at CSLDallas. Now, they're both really powerful manifestors, but it wasn't just the two of them or the two of them and 15 practitioners. It was the consciousness of the entire CSLDallas community and people who are connected saying, yes, I support this community. Yes, I'm going to watch online. Yes, I'm still sending in my tithe. Yes. And we thrived through those days of the pandemic. So, Connie, I think you've got something there that the universe is responding to me and it's responding to others. And we can also use that consciously in order to move society, to move our spiritual community, to move our family by being on the same page. Most of the time, we focus on when there are one or two or more people whose desires are in conflict, like who gets to win. But Connie, you remind us to also remember that we can consciously use us working together with the same intention in a very powerful way. So Ryan, you got somebody else online?
So basically, before I get to this question, I just want to reiterate, to rule the world, I just have to start a spiritual prayer gang, and we could set the intention and we could change the world.
Some of you know Reverend Karen Frost and quite a few other people. But when I first met her, she was wearing her spiritual gangster T-shirt. That's like, yeah, let's have a spiritual gang.
That's right. So this is a good question for what we're talking about here. So it says, I have been struggling with cynicism, in particular frustration with work and world systems that are unnecessarily complicated, and feeling like I'm just jumping through the hoops. How can I shift this negative causal energy? And I see a lot of folks kind of going on about what's happened in the world. How can we shift the consciousness into shifting away from that? But I think this question sums that up. What are your thoughts, Tracy?
I love this. I love it. And one of the things that grabbed me as Ryan was reading the question or the comment was unnecessarily complex or unnecessarily detailed, or too many levels. It's like that flooded my mind. And the calm place in me said, unnecessary to whom? Clearly someone thinks it's necessary, or it wouldn't be, and there may be a reason for it. So like that was that calm, peaceful center in me going, it is what it is. And especially in the context of work or society as a whole, or an organization I'm a part of that is there to serve the needs of a large group of people. So what do I do when I am in a situation? This is a hypothetical. I'm not talking about Tracy Brown. But what do I do when I'm in a situation where the system does not feed me, or I'm frustrated by it? The first thing that I do is acknowledge that. So Ernest Holmes does not teach us to ignore it or to pretend it's not there. If it's something that is not resonating or is not in alignment, or it might actually hurt or be challenging or hard, Ernest Holmes doesn't say, oh, just go, oh, it'll all work out. God is good and God will fix it. And I don't have to do anything but know that. No, we don't teach that. What we teach is the first step is to actually name it, right? To notice it. So I would name, this frustrates me, and I would be trying to figure out why, but not a whole lot of time trying to figure out why. Because if it frustrates me, I probably know pretty quickly. Then I have a couple of options. One option is, if I do believe in what we teach, I do my own work and I do a treatment that I am able to navigate whatever this system or challenge is from a place of wisdom or peace, or whatever spiritual quality is absent. Because sometimes I don't need to change the outer thing, I need to change from the inside out. Now, when I claim that I will navigate this situation or this organization from the place of peace or joy or wisdom or whatever spiritual quality seems to be needed. Now, what can happen is the universe, in responding to my claim to go to work every day and have peace, expressing that boss may go away, or that system, I may be at a staff meeting and the boss says, we've had this system for the last 5 years, but now after the pandemic, it's about time for us to audit that. And what suggestions do you have for change? But that's different than saying, I'm going to pray that this system breaks, or that I'm going to pray I know the answer to go in and blow this up and go tell everybody who is my boss and their boss how they should be doing it. Right? That's me trying to control outside of me. And what we teach is we can change from the inside out. And then the third option is, depending on how complex it is and what it is, we actually are always at choice. So if this is a work situation or a professional association I'm in, I've made choices to leave organizations, not because I was mad, it just no longer was a good fit for who I am and how I want to be in the world. No shame, no blame. I don't have to make them bad. I can just say, oh, I want to work in an environment where people value my skills and talents and demonstrate respect. And I see myself in a job where I'm able to give all of who I am and what I've learned over the last 15 years. And I start moving toward that instead of fighting with people who I think aren't doing it right. Because whatever they're doing it because it serves somebody, and it's usually not an individual person. So we're always doing that dance between our individual, which is all we can actually control, our individual response to conditions around us, and what we see and feel and engage with in the world.
Well, I'm pointing right back at you, Tracy, although you guys online can't see that. So we'll poll the room here in just a second, but I do want to take one more online person. So Carl, do you want to go ahead and join the conversation?
Sure. Good morning. Good morning, Tracy.
Hey, Carl.
Good morning to everyone. Yeah. So this brutal assault of the Ukrainian people that we're in our face every day. So, and I notice that when I'm saying that, I'm like, I feel it. And in the moment, I want to be able to transform the feeling. So I am sending something of value to them. I am, sending love, or I'm sending healing, or I am, and with myself. So guide me in this, especially when it happens in the moment, waking up in the morning or during the day, and you think of it, and then my mind goes to it like an attack mode to those who are brutalizing the Ukrainian people. So anyway, that's my question.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a perfect opportunity for us to apply this and to hold ourselves accountable. So we don't control everything that happens, but what we are responsible for doing is applying spiritual principle to how we respond and to how we take it up. So one thing that's really beautiful, Carl, about the way you express that is the recognition you already have of how do I catch myself or turn myself around when I notice that I am aggravated, angry, in attack mode, as you said. So it is complex. We say this is simple, but it's not necessarily easy to integrate. And what is happening in the world, especially what is happening with Russia and the Ukraine, is an opportunity for us to use our practices. So the first thing is to notice, and you're already doing that, to notice how I am reacting, and then to shift to how do I want to respond. So if I want to respond by being assertive or directive in my prayer work, right? Spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer is a directive practice. I am directing the universe to bring forth and to express more harmony in the world. Or I am going to do spiritual mind treatment related to the wisdom of God that knows that there is nothing against me and everything is happening for me. I can apply that on a global scale. Whatever way I am going to get myself back grounded is important. But we also teach, treat, and move your feet. So pray the African proverb, when you pray, move your feet. That is really important as well. So if you watch the news or you hear the headlines on the radio or you see the headlines in your social media feed, you get to choose. What do I do that contributes to a different scenario? So you may pray, and then are there other actions that resonate with you and often in conjunction with what we're already doing? It may not be, I'm going to go over to the Ukraine, right? It may not be, or it may be something like, someone who has family and you reach out to them and ask them how they are doing. And is there anything that you can do? And you provide a place for them, a safe place for them to kind of release their tension. It could be if you're in the workplace that you are the one who just to everybody or anyone say, how are you doing with all of these things that are happening in the world? And you become the example of peace so that they can release their tension. Or it may be that you write a check to some group that is providing support. Or it may be that you write letters, or it may be. It's funny, today is the topic for the talk is there's no right way, like there's no one single right way. And so only you can know what is your way of contributing to the energy shifting and building a collective consciousness. And I will add this, most of our immediate reactions that you describe, Carl, are the ones that come from anger and frustration. Someone is being mistreated and we want to mistreat the person or the country or the leader who is mistreating that group. We want to go lash out at them. We want to be the example of anger back. And, tell me how that works out for you. There are times to be aggressive, there are times to be clear and physical. And so we don't say you should never do that. But if you're doing it from a place of fear or anger, that is the key that makes you want to go, oh, wait a minute. Where am I coming from in recommending or actually acting in this way? So it's not a very specific in a box. Do these three things in this order and then it'll all be just fine. You won't get triggered anymore. You're going to get triggered. You've been socialized your whole life that, this conflict is bad and it's hard. And we're watching people be killed and it's hard and we don't like it. But my response needs to come from an ascended place, a higher consciousness than the conflict, the level of consciousness that the conflict is coming from. And I hope that makes a little sense. And in the reading where we are in the summary, talking about subjective mind and the law, The law is always responding to me individually and to all of us collectively. So if we respond to conflict and hatred and violence, with hatred and violence as our primary leading emotion or thought, then we're just creating more conflict and violence and hatred and anger. So I'm going to stop there because 5 more things are coming to mind, but I'm guessing we may have some other comments or questions. Anybody in the room? Anybody online?
We do have Connie. It looks like your hand is raised again. I believe you might have another question or comment. You want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you very much. Something else came up. Thank you. Oh, Dr. Tracy, this is absolutely fantastic. So helpful. I'm in the middle of it myself in my life and all this stuff. I was communicating with a new friend, don't know him very well. We were texting. He's out in California, and he asked me what vitamin supplements I take. So I have a whole list of about 12 that I take regularly, and they were recommended to me by a naturopathic doctor for strengthening the immune system, especially regarding COVID and the spike protein. I texted them to him, and he said he's not taking any vitamin supplements. And he said, interesting, I should probably start taking some. Should I consult my medical doctor about it? There's the question right there. Now, my response was, if it's allopathic medicine, regular medicine, I don't think so. He'll probably recommend pharmaceutical drugs. But what I did, and I started, feeling, anger and opposition. And he doesn't know anything, and neither does his doctor, that kind of talk. So then, but what I texted back to him was, it's your choice. You choose. If you would like to consult your medical doctor, or, I did say that these were recommended to me by a natural doctor. And if you want to talk more about my perspective on this, we have to get on the phone and talk about it on the phone. But I did not get angry. I did a little bit, it started rising, and then I realized, no, that's not what I want to do. It was very good, and it fits in right with what you were saying, and I'm so grateful to have that confirmation and support. Thank you.
And it is all about choice. It is all about choice. Subjective mind and the law are responding to our choice. It is infinite. This is in the reading today. It is infinite. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. I can't, but I know it's there. So if it is infinite, it has access to everything, every idea, every person, all of it. But it accesses the infinite in response to your direction, which is your choice. So it's really important for us to remember that. And the other thing that has come into my mind 2 or 3 times in the last 30 minutes is this reminder. We often make the mistake of using our thinking that our spiritual practice and our understanding of spiritual law is designed so that we can escape the experiences of humanity. But that is actually incorrect. So for example, we would have no war if everybody was just spiritual like me. Or we can make war go away because we can just pray. We are using spiritual law, operating our lives in the context of spiritual law and physical law, humanity. And so our understanding spiritual principle and using spiritual practice is to help us navigate what's going on that has been decided by or is the effect of human choice. So Carl especially, and I'm saying it for myself as well, when I feel myself reacting and thinking, oh, if I'm spiritual enough, this will just go away, There is a spiritually grounded response, a spiritually grounded solution, but it can only come to physical form through our human actions, words, behaviors, and beliefs. So take that with you this week as you are considering subjective mind. Watch for how you are inserting yourself into subjective mind, what choices you are making. Watch and observe. And then next week we'll come back, we'll go a little bit more into subjective mind and then how we use mind in order to create a full mental picture of the lives we want to live. That's all the time we have for this week's Science of Mind class with CSLDallas. Please join us every Sunday at 9:15 a.m. Central Time and join us in 30 minutes for our celebration. And the theme is There's No Right Way. And so it is.